I have a problem with John Carpenter's The Thing. And yes, I was lying by saying it sucked in the title. My problem is it sucks so little that it leaves too much room for other horror films to suck. Seeing as this is one of my first horror films, I've had a hard time watching anything else because the bar was just that high. The tension is palpable, the characters and their enemy are smart, and all of this is wrapped in a cold environment that makes you shiver in isolation. To set the stage for our protagonist and their situation, we see a cold, vast landscape, accompanied by a lone dog. A helicopter flying low shoots at this dog. The nature of our introduction is odd. Why is there a dog sprinting in the cold? And why is there a helicopter shooting at it? The shooting turns into explosions, and the dog sees hope, a camp full of Americans. The movie builds anticipation to get things answered. And if you're the average audience member who does not know Norwegian, myself included, it won't be until the kennel scene that we get things answered.
Helvete, kom der vekk! Det har ikke en bikkje i! Det er en slags ting! Det imiterer en bikkje! Det er ikke virkelig! Kom der vekk, idioter!
A plethora of things happen to build tension. We see the dog being taken in with a look on its face that says, I know more than a dog. I think more than a dog, and they don't know it. We also see that this crew is kind of close-knit, but not friends, more like really good coworkers. We see that these characters are smart. Gary uses the inside of the base as protection from the crazy Swede with a gun. We see that they follow protocol, trying to reach people, but they also try to figure things out themselves. This DIY mindset leads us to the Norwegian camp, which is now in shambles. One of the Norwegian crew members commits suicide, so whatever they were dealing with was so bad, death was the preferred option. We also see the bloodied creature, frozen. Now, this is the type of thing that you should stay far away from in real life, but they're a research facility. It's their job to take it in and examine it. These introductory scenes perfectly introduce us to the world and its characters. Unlike The Descent, which I talked about last time, these characters are all identifiable and interesting, and they play off each other very well. We learn about these characters through subtle nods without the movie deliberately pointing and saying, oh, she's gay, she's gay. For example, we see that Clock is a bit of a shut-in. We learn this when he goes to care for the dog before tending to the helicopter wreckage.
How long were you alone with that dog?
Hour and a half, maybe.
Windows is a little on edge. He snaps at Blair for asking him to do his job. Just a little snappy, though. Blair is objectively the smartest in the crew. We see little bits of this when he's asking Windows to report this mess, but he really gets to shine in the autopsy scene and later on in the film. That's not even mentioning MacReady, the main character who is a badass in his own right, but I wanted to give some of the smaller characters their own limelight. These human characters come face to face with their greatest enemy yet, themselves, and their isolation. The Thing is a character that is 100% worth talking about because it's able to hide in plain sight. It creates an uneasiness for the characters in the movie, and in a way forces the audience to join teams with the Antarctic research crew. And the film doesn't point out to us information like, are you a vampire? Because, like 10 minutes ago, you were totally fine just walking in, but now you're asking us for information like, yeah, no shit, this guy's a vampire. It's so freaking obvious. Anyway, Sinners sucks. Right after their first encounter in the kennel, during the autopsy scene, the crew clocks what's happening. They immediately understand, oh, this thing imitates us, it takes its time, plays it smart, and waits to get its victim alone. Each of these characters reacts understandably, based on what we learned earlier.
Somebody blew Dukes in the lab. Lights were out in there for an hour. Palmer, you and Windows check the inside.
I ain't going with Windows.
Hey, fuck you, Palmer!
I ain't going with you.
All right, cut the bullshit!
Windows leaves a heated argument to protect himself. He grabs a shotgun and prepares to fight for himself. It's totally reasonable to react in this way. Blair is burdened with knowing about the danger of this organism. It can hide in plain sight, and in a few months, when they get supplies, that would mean catastrophe for the rest of the world. So he destroys the transportation, the communications, and the rest of the dogs, because he knows no one is safe until this thing is completely exterminated. Clark seems to enjoy the dogs more than people, so when Blair killed his dog friends, he reacts with anger. All of the characters react according to what we've been shown. These are smart characters that make smart decisions. If this film was made with characters from The Descent, it would probably look something like this. I wonder which one of us is the creature. Juno. I'm gonna kill you because I think you're the creature. No, it's not me. I'm not the creature. It's him. I don't think so. It's impossible to talk about The Thing and not mention the test scene. Even pop culture can't seem to get enough.
I don't much like the taste of it. Ain't no one saying you gotta like it. We just gotta figure out if any of us left is one of them.
I plan on reviewing this someday. It's in my backlog right now. Okay, just chill. But yeah, this scene is the highlight of everything the film does right. This scene uses everything we've learned about The Thing and its characters opposing it. It also uses the audience suspicions to its advantage. We believe Clark, Gary, possibly MacReady, and Palmer have chances of being The Thing. MacReady was locked out because Null suspected he was assimilated and shredded some clothing. But now MacReady holds everyone hostage. MacReady is in command of the scene, but is also untrustworthy. This unreliable narration sets the audience in an unclear zone. The audience is teeter-tottering on who to trust, right along with the characters in the film. But that's okay, because the test itself is supposed to put us at ease, finally learning who's who. So it's interesting that it almost takes a back seat, because we're so focused on the drama between these characters, as well as the possibility that this test just doesn't even work. Like, it's a little weird that it just 3 times in a row, still no results. Because of this, the reveal of Palmer being an imposter is all the more frightening. We're so caught up in the bickering that as soon as it goes silent and then just catches us off guard, the thing erupts. And it's just, honestly, this is probably one of the most visceral scenes is when Windows is getting his head chomped in. I personally think the dog's face getting split apart into 5 different pieces is a little bit more disgusting, but that's just a personal preference. To me, this is a jump scare that actually just feels deserved because its suddenness drives the scene forward, unlike multiple moments from the descent where it's like, oh, jump scare, and it's like, it's just not scary. It's so unbelievable and goofy that it loses all tension for me. But what I love most about this is that even after being attacked, the characters still finish the test instead of just calling it there. This also makes for a bit of comedy that cracks me up every single time.
And when you find the time, I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch!
The next portion of this was written by my buddy Gage, a longtime fan of all things. Let's see what I did there.
As we see in the movie, the Thing is capable of planning and has some sort of thought during its attempt to assimilate everyone on the base. We see this when the dog is peering through the window, probably thinking,
Alan, we are so fucked.
This leaves a question that Peter Watts wanted answered. What is it like from the alien's perspective? In 2010, Watts decided to write a short story based on this idea called The Things. I've been intrigued about fiction from a xenospecies perspective, and this was one of my first run-ins with the concept. In this story, we see how the alien thinks both during the events that happened in the movie, from its point of view, and as internal monologue outside these events. From what we can gather from it, it seems to have some form of gestalt, decentralized form of intelligence, able to split between separate bioforms. Early on in the story, the alien talks about its origins and portrays itself as some sort of missionary, visiting numerous worlds and engaging in communion, what it calls assimilation, as it believes it is helping the universe evolve and adapt to the natural law of entropy. During one of its visits, it crashes into Earth by accident and is nearly killed off, but hibernates into the ice and waits for 100,000 years until it is found by the Norwegians. But when it attempts to join them in communion, it is attacked and in its panic and anger, destroys the base. From there, we see the events from the movie play out. During this time, it monologues internally and becomes disgusted and somewhat terrified of how humans work. It's not used to organisms that cannot seem to merge and act as individual things. We see this more when it begins the process of assimilating the first person. The Thing cannot find intelligence in part of the bodies like arms or legs compared to the other life forms it's found on other planets it interacted with. And eventually, it found out the brain is where the intelligence, the soul, is stored and becomes sickened by it, calling it thinking cancer. I really like this description of the brain, a centralized tumor that controls a lifeless husk. The alien learns that it will need to begin hiding, slowly spreading its communion in secret to prevent it from being killed off completely. And as time moves on, it gets more angered as its attempts are halted until its anger becomes pity. It came to this realization when it finally realized that our bodies cannot actively merge into a collective whole, and our biology is static, unable to adapt in the way the thing is able to change itself. And due to this, it will continue to assimilate us even if we kick and scream against it. The short story does conflict one of the main appeals of The Thing, its lack of true motives and origins. Yet, I feel like the story still gives an edge of mystery even if we are seeing it from its point of view. Like, for example, was it made for a grander purpose by some greater alien force? Or did it naturally evolve and become what it is now? The story shows The Thing is just as disgusted by us as we are to it. It does learn that we are individuals and do not want anything to do with its communion. Yet, it still attempts to go through with this even if we protest against it. As the closing two sentences of the story goes, quote, "These poor savage things will never embrace salvation. I will have to rape it into them." End quote. I will say it does a really good job showing how weirded out something like the alien is to our world, using the word quadruped for describing the dogs and bipeds for humans and saying nothing else of said bipeds but only for its biomass. Concepts that sound complex for humans seem to be instinct for the thing. Another thing that I like about this story that wasn't just telling of its view, but also an unsettling hypothesis to think about. During the story, the alien quotes, "I have assimilated 1,000 worlds stronger than this, but never one so strange." End quote. Are we humans an anomaly in the universe? I feel like this story having this hypothesis question goes along with the story keeping that eldritch, unknowable feel that the thing originally gives off. I think this short story adds an interesting level to the thing's lore, but it does have some conflicts with the movie's plot. For example, Child is infected as far back as the blood test scene, but somehow wasn't detected. The other mistakes are due to it being written before the 2011 prequel, so anything that happens in the Norwegian camp and any revelations about the alien made in that film are non-existent in the story. But setting those tidbits aside, it's still an interesting read and or listen. The link will be in the description below. Thanks for the opportunity to share my thoughts about this story.
The Thing is perfect in how it handles all the classic horror elements. It's tense, it's gross, and it's terrifying. And we have Rob Bottin to thank for sacrificing his sanity. Yes, he lost a lot of sleep and I'm pretty sure he was hospitalized for how much effort he put into these effects. And thank you, because they hold up to this day. They're so good. It's insane, dude. Like, they don't look fake. It looks real. It's like, it's so gross. But it's also perfect in areas where the average horror film would often falter. Things like boring, dumb, or two-dimensional protagonists just aren't anywhere to be seen in this film. Also, the script doesn't back itself into a corner when making its characters, including the villains, smart. We find out that our thing is weak to fire. The characters utilize this over and over again, but due to the thing being smart and being able to hide in plain sight, they never seem to be able to kill it enough. That is until the whole outpost is on fire. I just really wish that more horror films had as good writing as The Thing does, because maybe then I'd be inclined to watch them. Maybe I wouldn't feel the need to rant about how bad they are for 11 minutes. Maybe just for once I could actually enjoy a good, actually terrifying horror film. Thank you, Mr. John Carpenter, for giving us The Thing, and thank you for making it so good. It really just makes everything pale in comparison, doesn't it? Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a good day. Love ya. Goodbye.